Hey friends, welcome to the channel. If you're new here, I'm Tirso. I have a bone to pick with graphic design education online, in particular, free graphic design education online. I'm just gonna be upfront, I think it sucks. Without a curriculum, it leaves people confused on what the learning pathway should be. I also don't love the stigma that design school isn't worth it. The issue isn't with design school itself, the issue is that design school is expensive. So instead of rebelling against that pathway, I think the goal should be to try and replicate it. So how do we copy that format? That's where this series comes in. It is my attempt to organize a way for you to go to alternative design school. Here is a structure for the series. Part 1 is debunking the internet. Please don't cancel me. Everyone is entitled to their opinion. I just want to level set with you and speak my piece on something so that you hear it from my mouth directly. Part 2 are structured for learning. First, what to learn. I think you'll be surprised how much there is, and perhaps also some areas that you haven't been focusing on. It might be quite overwhelming, so I have Part 3, how to learn, which is what I think would be a more effective learning strategy if I was a self-taught designer today. Part 4, we can't just learn without putting things into action, so that one is about goal setting. This isn't going to be perfect, so I would love to hear your feedback so I can reiterate on the series in the future. I did create a guide, which is the guide for the entire series. If you want to support the channel, you can download it in the description below. For anyone who's wasted time watching random videos or taking classes that barely scratch the surface, my guide expands on the series and helps you create your own roadmap for learning. I wrote, created, and fully designed 74 pages with deeper explanations and structured worksheets. I am very proud of how it turned out, and I really believe it'll make your design journey more effective. Now, some of what I'm going to say in this video in particular may challenge what you've heard before. I feel like I would be doing you a disservice if I simply regurgitated what everyone else is saying. Like I said, please don't cancel me. I am going to be brutally honest, but know that it's coming from a place of care. My goal isn't to deter you from pursuing a career in design. I simply want to give you my advice that hopefully will give you the best shot at succeeding at an already competitive industry. No more cutting corners, no more one-click wonders, no more trends fading faster than people's hairlines. This is part 1 of my no-nonsense guide for learning graphic design. You do not need a graphic design degree. What needs to be acknowledged is that without one, it is an undeniably much tougher path. It also doesn't excuse you from learning what design school has to offer, because those graduates are who you're competing against for jobs both full-time and freelance. If you want to break down what the graduates are coming to the table with in their applications, they have strong foundations in design theory and principles, they have curated portfolios, and they can talk about their work eloquently in the context of design. I would confidently say that the primary focus of design school are the last two. I do see a lot of self-taught designers focusing on them the least, which is interesting because those are the roadblocks for getting a job. So no, you do not need a design degree, you need a design education, however way you want to approach achieving that. This is a big concern for a lot of people, and I think there's an assumption that there isn't a lot of money in design, which discourages people from pursuing it. First, I don't think this is a career for you if your primary goal is to make money. The beauty of this career is that you get to enjoy what you do. That makes it sound like there's no money. Second, for anyone that says they don't know how to make money in graphic design, my response is graphic design is the only way that I know how to make money. If you want to talk about hard numbers, the average junior designer in New York City is making roughly $70,000. Art directors will start to break 6 figures, and then creative directors make significantly more than that. That range is quite high. It could be $150,000, it could be $500,000. Is that not enough money? Granted that not everyone will reach the level of a creative director, but then I challenge, every company needs a creative director, so why can't it be you? My short answer is no. Online education is limited. There are a lot of tutorials on design software, explanations on design principles and theory. The design process, I feel, can only be talked about at surface level in video. In order for your growth, it does need to be implemented consistently and properly. the best way to do that is to have a mentor to guide you along the way, because it's not just about following the design process, it's about coming up with your own process so that you can deliver results consistently. Other aspects that I see missing from design education is curating a strong portfolio, being able to provide and receive feedback, how to concept ideas, understanding client goals, and continuing with that, how to be a professional. These are all aspects of the job. Net, you can learn enough online to get started, but you really can't learn everything. The idea that the industry uses InDesign and Figma or XD, but people want to use Photoshop and Illustrator is the equivalent of someone wanting to be a tennis player, but they want to use a frying pan. I don't understand the logic because this is not optional. There are a lot of things that you can't do in Photoshop and Illustrator. The one that hurts the most is that you can't work in an art department. Those designers are using the industry standard, which is InDesign and Figma or XD. All of the design archives are also in those apps, and if you can't pick those files up and work on them, you can't do the job. I'm going to take a wild guess for the people that think this is okay. They are probably a freelance graphic designer, and it is not by choice. Real talk, you have two options. You can either have a hard time learning how to do the job properly, or you can have an even harder time looking for a job. You choose. I would suggest following designers, agencies, and even studying the old masters of design, which I do have an extensive list in the guide. Always keep in mind that this is about you and what your design goals are, so follow the people that do the work that you want to be doing. With that said, design content creators. This is where I'm going to say the quiet part out loud. Not everyone creating design content is a working designer, and where I challenge this is that how can they give you directions to the destination when they have never been on the journey? At a minimum, I think you need to see their portfolio. I mean, for us, everything we do requires a portfolio, so why don't we hold design content creators to the same standard? And for the record, an Instagram link is not a portfolio, which I will explain in a little bit. I am also not being a hypocrite about this. My portfolio is at tirsomisu.com. You can check it out. As much as I would love for you to follow me, if my work doesn't align with what you're wanting to do, I don't know that you should be following me. This is about you and what you want to learn about design. In design school, we weren't told to focus on one area of design over another. We explored everything from branding to package design to editorial design to web design. Eventually, we gravitated towards a design niche. I would encourage you to do the same by casting a wider net of projects so that you can do the same exploration for yourself. When I'm staffing positions, I often look for designers who are design generalists. I tend to pass on designers who only have branding or only have illustration in their portfolios. The portfolio needs to demonstrate a breadth of skills, and when you focus only on one type of design, it can be hard for a creative director to grasp your full capabilities. This also depends. If you want to work at a branding agency, then it would make sense to have a lot of branding in your portfolio. I would say you should be a generalist to secure your first job. You can always niche down a little later in the career depending on your interests. I think an Instagram link is popular with self-taught designers because they go in thinking that they can get noticed, which, don't get me wrong, some people definitely do. What's confusing here is that an Instagram link is not a portfolio. A portfolio is a curated collection of projects that strategically showcase your design skills. It is not simply a collection of design examples, which is what Instagram is. Your portfolio should be a website because that is what's most common to send for applications. Behance is also an option. If you design a PDF, that's better than nothing. And if you're super technical, a Figma prototype is also super impressive. When it comes to Instagram, it takes a lot of work to maintain. I think your time is better spent working on growing and getting stronger portfolio pieces instead. When it comes to applying for a job, a portfolio is required and an Instagram account is not, so I would say this is optional. That is part one. I won't say anything more because I think I've already said enough. Let me know your thoughts in the comments, and I will see you in part two.